I haven't prepared a leaving speech because I'm not leaving, but I wanted I at least wanted the opportunity to have the opportunity to say something on what I'm sorry, I've got speaker shoes. And I will be quick, I'm sorry, although we've still got 15 minutes before we would have left anyway. So, but I wanted the opportunity to reflect on the year that's just gone, because it's been quite a big year, obviously, and just to say a few things on that. But I suppose people have done this, but when I chose to run president, I didn't know anything about the Guild. I worked behind a bar, and that was about it, really. So when I got elected, I think it was as much a shock to me as it was to everybody else, to be honest. And I had quite a quick learning curve. But I think for too long it was sort of, SAB officers were supposed to come from the set of Guild councillors or people that were very involved in the Guild, and I don't think that that should be the case. If you feel like all I knew I wanted to do is that there were things whilst I was at university that I wanted to change, and I wanted to be part of something positive, and I wanted to be part of that change. And I would say to anyone that if you feel that way, then you should run for these positions and you should be part of something, because it is an amazing opportunity. And I say this all the time, but when it's good, it is really, really good, and you can be part of something. But on that, I would just like to say a huge thank you and sorry to Tim Lucas, who ran against me in the first year along with other people, but I hated him for the 10 days. It was horrible, but it was sort of like a good sort of test run of what my year would be like, I think, because I think I went through all the emotions I've been through this year in those 10 days of campaigning, to be honest. And I think I've said this before, but we have to look at the accessibility of if we want to start talking about the accessibility of our elections, we have to start talking about the accessibility of the officer roles themselves, because I was someone who I'd never suffered from mental health problems or anxiety, really, and I'm from a very, very working class background, which rightly or wrongly, there's a mentality of you just got to pick yourself up and go on. That's what my family sort of was like, and this year I've been affected by mental health problems in a way that I never thought I would be, and I'll be honest, is that some people who sit in this chamber have not made that any easier, and they are people who advocate for accessibility and for mental health to be a talking point. And I'd like to reiterate what Molly said and what Hattie said, is that it's for everybody. And I think that some people think that when you're in these positions, you're tougher or you can take it a lot more, and that's not the case. There's been times this year when I haven't wanted to get out of bed for days, and that is not, this role should not do that to you. And yeah, I didn't really write anything down, I was sort of just going with this, but in spite of all of that, as I felt that there was still things that I wanted to change, so I chose to run again, and I would like to say a huge thank you to, in particular, Ed and George, for making it one of the friendliest campaigns I've been involved with. And at the time, that was a very turbulent time for me in the Guild, and I felt safer in those 10 days of campaigning than I did in my role, and I think that's because of how well you approached the election, so I'd like to say thank you for that. Likewise, I'm not really going to go through the team, because I will do that individually, and I think that's fair, but I'll say one thing about you all. Tom, you will stop climate change one day, I am sure of it, and I know I haven't been there for you at times when you probably needed me the most this year, and I'm sorry for that, and I hope that in years to come we will talk over, I'll come to Mexico and see you, maybe. Vicky, I can't actually tell you how much it meant to me when you spoke on my censure, against my censure at the last Guild Council. I never thought that you would do that, and it meant a huge amount to me, and thank you. Molly, I'm going to miss how blunt you are. And you are too easy to wind up, I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
You walk into it, but I love you. Hattie, I'd like to say a huge thank you because we are very different politically, but one thing you have done, which a lot of people haven't been able to do with me this year, is that you've kept politics, and the personal. And we have maintained a relationship and a friendship throughout the year. And it's really difficult going into a second term when there are a lot of people who you are going to work with or be in contact with, who those doors are already closed. They have their opinion of you, and they are unwilling to work with you, and that doesn't foster good debate in any way. But never have I felt like that with you, and I know that there are times when it has been extraordinarily difficult for us to be in the same room, but out on the other side of that, I do feel like we have kept a friendship. Dave, you are one of the most principled and stubborn people I have ever met in my life, but I have a huge amount of respect for you, and you have stood up for things, and you have done a huge amount for the role, and I've said all this to you before. Probably neither of us can remember it, but I've definitely said it at some point. Jethro, I'm sorry, you've had to be my housemate this year. So that has meant that not only did you get delegated all the crap tasks, like shortlisting for an awards ceremony for 7 hours, because I didn't want to do it, but also it's meant that when I have been at my absolute rock bottom, he's had to scrape me up off the floor, and both literally and metaphorically, and pull me back up. And I couldn't, it was a bit of a gamble, we didn't really know each other moving in together, but it's gone well. I can't think of a better housemate this year, and yeah, you're probably going to have to do a bit of a brief with Joe about what it's like to live with me, so I'm a nightmare. I have had the best year and the worst year at the same time, and I think probably most Sabs would say that. And I'm extremely grateful and honoured to have another 12 months in the role. I think I'll probably need some hair dye and some Botox at the end of it. But yeah, it's not really a leaving speech, but I don't know. You all know how much I love a good self-indulgent speech, so I'll go with that. But thank you all for an incredible year. I think, sometimes, good stuff's been passed in here, relevant to students, so that's good. But yeah, thank you, and good night. England lost, sorry.